Hi, I'm Pat. Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how I made this One Block Wonder quilt from start to finish. It's a really fun process. I think you'll like it. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also follow me on Instagram. Thanks for being here, and let's get started. A One Block Wonder quilt is one where 6 repeats of a single print are cut up into small matching triangles and then reassembled into kaleidoscope hexagon blocks. And then those blocks can be arranged in any way that you like. The print that you see here is the one I used for the quilt in today's video. The colors and textures and that look of a painting that's in this fabric are all going to help the finished quilt top look really good. I started this quilt in December of 2016, so I'm going to walk you through some pictures of what I did to make it. First, you can see here the stacked cut triangles that came from this print. These triangles are then sewn together into groups of 3, so each group of 3 creates half of a hexagon. Those matching hexagon pairs are kept together until they go onto the design wall where we can make the final arrangement. When I do an arrangement of a One Block Wonder quilt, I like to start by grouping hexagons that read as a similar color. Then I start making arrangements where I group similar colors, and that creates the look of having a path of color flowing from one part of the quilt to another. At that point, I like to start shifting groups of hexagons around just to think about different composition options before I pick a final arrangement. Once I'm happy with the arrangement from the design wall, I will connect columns of half hexagons into rows like you see here, and then join those rows. Here's the finished quilt top all together. I hope you like it, and I hope you can see what I mean by having a flow of colors. And then here's the original print again, so you can see where these different kaleidoscope features came from. Next, you'll see me piecing the back. I had a panel of the fabric for the top of the quilt left over, and when I do, I like to include that in the back so that way when you see the quilt, you can turn it over and take a look at the original print to see where some of those kaleidoscope features came from. Now that the top and the back are both done, it's time to get everything loaded onto the long arm frame. I'm using the same loading method that I've shown you on previous videos. I always start by pinning the backing to the take-up bar with the edge aligned to the edge of the leader. That defines what is considered straight for the quilt. It becomes a reference point. Then when I pin the rest of the backing, the lower edge, to the backing bar, then that falls where it falls, but it's most important that the backing is sitting flat on the frame between the two rollers. After that, I go ahead and roll the backing from the take-up bar back onto the backing roller, and then I'm ready to put down the batting and position the top. If I have a solid backing that's all one fabric, I don't have to worry too much about the positioning of the top, except to make sure that it's not crooked. In this case, because I have the backing with a panel featured in the center that I want to be in the center of the back of the quilt, I need to do some measuring just to make sure that the top is positioned in a way that's going to have that panel sit in the center of the back when the quilt is done. Once that's all finished, then I'm ready to quilt. Now let's talk about the layout of the quilting design. This is a very busy quilt top that stands on its own, so whatever I do for quilting needs to complement this quilt top, not compete with it. I thought that I might do some hexagon quilting designs that were at a larger scale than the hexagons in the quilt itself, and I even went and downloaded a couple of patterns I thought I might like. Next, I used a software package called Art and Stitch to overlay these quilting designs on top of an image of the quilt top, just to audition the different designs and see what the end result might look like. Using this digital mock-up method, I tried different sizes and variations and combinations of these quilt patterns that I thought I would like, but everything I did honestly just looked really too busy, and I think it was going to either disappear into the details of the quilt or compete with it, so I knew I needed to try something different. Next, I went and found some edge-to-edge designs that have a kind of fluid character to them, similar to the motion of the colors in the quilt top, and I grabbed these so I could audition them as well. So I took each of these 4 designs and, using the same software, created edge-to-edge repeats and then overlaid the pattern of repeats on top of the quilt top to see what it looks like. And they're all fine, honestly, but I really like this one, this swirls pattern here. And while I think I could have gotten away with any of these 4 designs, I wound up choosing to go with the swirls in the end. Now I'll show you the quilting process. So I started by doing some basting stitches around the perimeter of the top and sides just to keep things in place. That way I can remove the pins and get the pins out of the way. In the Bernina Q-matic software, I went ahead and imported the purchased designs that I showed you before. And here's the spiral pattern that I decided to use. I created a series of repeats. I did modify the size of these. I tried a couple different sizes and arrangements and positions. I just want to be thoughtful about where the center of the spirals land with respect to the edge of the quilt, just so things look balanced. After trying a few different sizing options, I created the final rows that I need for the stitching and went ahead and saved it so I can get started. The last thing to do on the computer before quilting is to use the trimming tool to get rid of some unnecessary stitches. I'm trimming off the parts of the quilting design that fall outside of the quilt top. Thanks again for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed seeing this process for making a one block wonder quilt. I think it's a great process because it has a lot of room for aesthetic design and composition choices that maybe aren't present when you're dealing with a more structured quilt pattern. I really encourage you to try making one of your own, and if you need a little more help getting started, there's a great book by Maxine Rosenthal that I'll link to below. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Instagram where you can see updates that don't make it into the videos. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.